So you mentioned the Code Red, and in my story today, I get into what that has looked like internally. That's mainly aimed at addressing some of the slowdown in their ad revenue growth that they've been dealing with over the past couple of months. Also, my story, I get into Pinterest has really been trying to revamp a lot of their sales and ad teams. They just brought in Lee Brown, who was at DoorDash. He's also been an ad executive at Spotify. So Pinterest is really, I think, feeling the pressure from investors now. With their earnings report last week, but also they've certainly been feeling the pressure internally for the past couple of months and really trying to both kind of turn around the ad business in the short term as well as deal with this longer term, more kind of existential question of what AI is going to do to their business.
So you talked a lot about all of the problems facing the company, and just to run people through the gamut here. I mean, one of the problems is that users don't check the app as often compared to other social apps. You talked about the recommendation algorithms. The fact that they haven't been able to target and measure how well the ads work, and then there's obviously the competition aspect from Meta and Google. I wonder if you think about all these problems and from your reporting, what is the single biggest problem facing the company that Bill Ready is most concerned about right now? Is it AI or is it really just the fundamental platform?
I mean, the immediate challenge and the immediate changes they're going to have to show to investors are is turning around the ad business. And so it's interesting that you kind of describe them as a social media app because I think Pinterest is trying to kind of sell the narrative, to investors in particular that they shouldn't really be compared as directly to other social media apps. They're really trying to position themselves, especially in the age of AI, as a search app. And so they're really pointing to all of it's a mainly visual platform. So they're trying to lean on kind of their expertise there and all of the search data they have about what people are searching for on their platform and really use that to, say to advertisers that it's a good place to advertise because people are often looking on Pinterest for, things like clothing or beauty or furniture. And so those are all really strong categories for advertisers. So I think kind of the main challenge will be for Pinterest to kind of show to both to advertisers and to investors that they really should be thought of as a search platform and not in the same way as like an Instagram or a Facebook, and really kind of make that transition into more of a search app versus more traditional social media.
Well, and I think one thing that I just realized actually, as I've been thinking about this conversation, is that when I talk about Pinterest, sometimes I refer to it as a digital scrapbooking platform. Sometimes I refer to it as a social media platform. And so I think this sort of identity crisis that you're describing, where advertisers don't really know what the one thing is that we should be going to Pinterest for. I mean, that's sort of a problem that everyone has right now is we're not really sure, what the thing is, and what it specializes in. I want to go back to the code reds that you talked about. What do we know about where those stand right now, and if those have yielded any results or changes within the company?
Yeah, so I spoke to Pinterest's chief technology officer, and he told me that the code red is still going on. There are a couple of kind of key metrics that the company is working towards in order to, get out of the code red and declare that it's over. But a lot of the code red projects have been aimed at boosting some of those key metrics, like I mentioned, like in particular in the ad business. And so what Matt, their CTO, told me yesterday was that already some of the changes to their ad recommendations and modeling systems that they've put into place, those have already translated to a better return on spending for their advertisers. And Pinterest has been able to kind of reallocate some of their GPUs so that they can, kind of test these changes very quickly with all of their advertisers. So they've been able to kind of come up with some of those changes and then also get them live for all their advertisers. So they clearly, are are feeling the need to work quickly, and then also get those changes live for advertisers. So I would say, the code red's still going on, but I think Pinterest is feeling good for now, at least about the work they've been doing so far.
And where do you think this story ultimately plays out from here? You had a prediction late last year, maybe early this year. Your 2026 prediction was that OpenAI should buy Pinterest, or and we obviously know that that went somewhat viral, and people seem to latch on to this idea that maybe it was happening. We should say it was just a prediction. It
That's the
was,
prediction. Yes.
but people really latched onto it, probably because maybe they saw some sense in there. Do a lot of people think that Pinterest is going to be acquired? What are you hearing?
I think that's kind of the open question. I think there's no doubt there is a ton of underlying value in Pinterest's platform, both in their user base. It's dominated by Gen Z and millennial women who are basically the most valuable categories for advertisers. So they have, a huge user base that's very valuable, and also just all of the data that they have. They have tons, they have billions of images and posts on their site at this point. The company said last week they have 80 billion searches per month, so that's definitely legit search volume. I think just the question for them, at least in the near term, will be, can they kind of fix the monetization and fix the ad business? And so I think if they are able to fix the ad business, at least in the short term, that will keep Wall Street happy. But I think they're also contending with the questions that a lot of tech and software companies are thinking about right now is, how does AI kind of impact their long-term future? And I mean, you see companies like Google trying to make their own Pinterest copycats. And so I think it just remains to be seen if anything will kind of take hold with users the same way that Pinterest has. And then, yeah, if the ad business isn't able to recover, then I think the expectation is they would think more seriously about a potential sale.
Great. Well, Anne, I want to thank you for coming on. That is Anne Guillen, our e-commerce reporter here at The Information.